Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Tori and Kira? Part 1. Huge shout out to NarutoXKiraXTori 1994 for this story. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Somewhere in a meadow field. It was the middle of the night, which was peaceful and quiet, no sounds at all but the breeze. Soon the breeze started to pick up heavy, and the weather started to act as the sounds of thunders echoed in the sky. In mid-air, a white swirling portal opened and a figure fell down on the ground unconscious. The boy was around 16 and was 5'6" with spiky blonde hair. He had a black headband that had a metal plate with a leaf emblem, his orange and black coat had holes, and the left sleeve was teared and leaving the front open as he wore chainmail underneath, orange pants and blue shinobi sandal. This was Naruto Uzumaki Shinobi of Konohagakure. 5 minutes later, he had started to open his eyes slowly, everything was blur, but soon cleared up. He sat up holding his head. What happened? Asking himself. His eyes went wide as he now remembered clashing his Rasengan against Sasuke's Chidori. He got up and looked around and saw nothing but a grass field and saw a sign next to a road. He took a closer look at the sign. Brief side 10 miles away. He scratched his head as he couldn't understand the words. He closed his eyes, tried to use his sage mode, but to his shock he couldn't. He tried to use Kage Bushin, and that too didn't even work. He even tried to call Kurama's chakra but no luck. He started to panic at this, but remembered Jiraiya's teaching. If he was in a situation like this, he calmed down and knew the best thing to do is follow the road to see if he can find a town nearby. 30 minutes passed as he walked and still didn't see a town. He came to a halt and saw what looked like a shooting star coming towards him. He quickly ducked as it passed over him. The star hit the ground, creating a big impact. The gust of wind knocked him on his back. He got up shaking his head and saw a deep big hole and went to investigate. He looked in the crater and had saw what looked like a clear stone. He jumped down, taking a better look. He saw what looked like a green gem in the stone. The stone started to crack, making him nervously step back. Once the stone completely broke, the green gem glowed a little. Naruto for some reason was feeling drawn to the green gem. He cautiously approached and slowly reached out, picking it up. The gem glowed brighter as he held it and felt a surge of energy coursing through his body. An image of a creature with reptilian scale that hissed and gave a screech roar. He shook his head and put the gem in his pocket and left, continuing his way. After another 30 minutes he had to stop walking and rested. His patient was starting to become thin as he still couldn't find a town or anybody. That changed as he saw a green portal opening and about 10 mutants like reptilian appeared surrounding him. Naruto was taken back by this and got in his stance looking at the creatures, wondering what the hell were these things. Stepping forward was a man in a black cyber helmet and armor carrying a sword. "I believe you have something that belongs to my master," said the man. "Who are you?" Naruto questioned, but inside he was surprised at his language. He spoke differently. "I am Zeltrax, and I will not ask you again. Hand over the gem," ordered the man known as Zeltrax. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Something was telling him not to hand over the gem. "If I don't," he retorts. "Then you will be destroyed," declared Zeltrax. "I like to see you try," Naruto taunted. Zeltrax growled, "So be it, Tyrannodron's attack," he commanded the mutants. Naruto side kicked one and then kicked another in the chest, followed by a spinning back kick and low sweep one off its feet. He got up dodging a Tyrannodron's attack and landed a hard right punch to its face, knocking it down, and had kicked one coming from behind and continuing to kick every one of them in the head or chest and spun, hitting a roundhouse. He charged and jumped in midair, kicking 2 enemies from left and right and kicked one in front. He landed on his feet but was then kicked in the chest by Zeltrax and fell on his back. He held his chest in pain and felt the point of the sword at his throat. "I will give you one last chance, human, hand over the gem," Zeltrax growled. Naruto knew there was no way to get out of this. If only he could make Kage Bushin, it would be no problem. He imagined if he did he would have gotten this guy from behind. When those thoughts left his head, he disappeared in a green flash, shocking Zeltrax, and then felt a kick from behind knocking him down. He turned to see the blonde teen right behind him. Naruto was confused. 1 minute he had a sword at his throat, then the next he's behind Zeltrax, but he didn't care and jumped, kicked him from behind. Zeltrax got up and was furious, preparing to charge, but was hit again, this time by 3 pink glowing arrows, causing exploding sparks, making him fall back again. Naruto was surprised at this and saw the new arrival. The person carried a bow and was wearing a pink spandex with white rhombus design around the body, a buckle with a coin of a crane design around the waist, white boots with pink rhombus design, white gloves with the same design as the boots, finally a pink helmet with the bottom being white. A silver mouth guard and 2 black eyes shields. Zeltrax got up and was furious at who he was seeing. "You again, Pink Ranger," grunted out. "Hello ugly, hope you don't mind me dropping in." said the person. Judging by the voice, Naruto knew it was female, but who was she and what was a pink ranger? Zeltrax growled and had retreated with the pteranodrons opening a green portal and jumped vanishing. Naruto was confused at what just happened and saw the pink ranger approaching him. "Are you alright?" asked the ranger. Naruto didn't have the answer, he landed in middle of nowhere. Attacked by mutant lizard and almost killed by that Zeltrax guy, alright wouldn't be the correct answer. "Yeah, I think so, who was that guy, do you know why he wanted this?" Naruto took out the gem and showed the ranger, if it weren't for the helmet you would see a shocked look on her face. "Hold on," she said and powered down revealing herself. She had long brown hair, brown eyes and small hoop earrings. She wore a sleeveless pink blouse, blue jeans and white shoes. She looked closer at the stone and knew what it was. "Where did you find this?" she asked and looked at him. Naruto had told her of the shooting star that landed in front of him and finding the gem in the crater in a stone, he saw the concerned look on her face which made him nervous. "Wait one moment please," she asked and pulled her cell phone out and called her husband. She waited and saw Naruto looking nervous, but she gave him a reassuring smile. "What's your name by the way?" she asked him. He was uncertain if he should give his name, but she did save his life, Naruto Uzumaki. She looked confused as she had never heard such a name, but looking at him she can determine he is a Japanese descendant, but she was wondering what those lines were on his cheeks. "Nice to meet you Naruto. My name is Kimberly Oliver, but my friends call me Kim for short." She smiled. Before Naruto asked questions, Kim heard the phone being picked up and made a hand sign to hold on making him wait. "Kimberly, are you alright?" asked the worried man over the phone. "I'm fine Tommy, I found the Dino Gem, but we may have a problem," she said. "What happened?" said the man known as Tommy. "Someone found it first," she said. "Who?" Tommy asked in shock. "I'm actually right next to him," he introduced himself as Naruto Uzumaki, from the looks of it he must be mid-teen around 16. He was attacked by those pteranodrons freaks and that Zeltrax guy. "I'm coming your way," Tommy said. Naruto was wondering what she was talking about, Dino Gems. Pteranodrons. She hanged up and looked him. "So, where are you from Naruto?" Naruto didn't know how to respond, can he just really say he came from another dimension where shinobis rule? Oh, what the hell, it's worth a shot. "I'll be honest with you, I'm not really from around here." Kim looked confused and was going to ask what he meant, but a car horn interrupted as a black jeep pulled up with her husband driving. "There's my husband, come on, he'll explain about the gem." Kim lead Naruto. Naruto looked at the weird machine and saw Kim taking the front, so he took the back. He saw a man with spiky black hair and a small patch goatee wearing blue jeans, black long sleeve shirt and black shoes. This was Tommy Oliver. "I take you're the one who has the gem," said Tommy looking over his shoulder seeing him. Naruto looked uneasy at first, but answered, "Yeah, I found it in a crater, do you know what it is?" he asked showing the glowing green gem. Tommy sighed, "Yeah I do." He began to drive. "They're called Dino Gems, found from the meteor that extinct the dinosaurs. But apparently the gem you hold must have been lost for ages deep in space." "Wow, you really know much about this," Naruto said as he was impressed. Tommy chuckled, "Let's just say being paleontologist can come in handy." Naruto was confused at the words and heard Kim giggle and explained. "In short words it means someone who studies fossils." Tommy's cheeks were a little red as he forgetting he was just a young teen. "So, where do you live?" "Naruto, right?" asked Tommy. Naruto nodded. "Well, as I told Kim, I'm not actually from here," he said. "What do you mean?" Tommy asked. Naruto took a deep breath and started to explain where he came from, explaining the shinobi era, the fourth great ninja war, and the battle between him and Sasuke that got him here. When he finished, no word was said from the couple for a few minutes till Kim broke it. "So you're not actually from here, but from another dimension where ninjas rule. And you got here after a war and from clashing against a former comrade's attack." Tommy finished. He nods and was prepared to be called crazy, but he heard Tommy laughing small, making him confused. "Sorry, it's just stuff like this seems to always involves me and Kim," Tommy said and Kim giggled. "Suo. You don't think I'm crazy?" Naruto asked. "Nope, myself and Kim have seen and heard crazier stuff before, so this isn't a first," Tommy assured him. Naruto sighed in relief but caught something. "What do you mean you've seen and heard crazier?" Kim glanced at Tommy and nodded. "We'll explain once we get to the house," he said. Tommy and Kim's home. Tommy and Kim lead Naruto down some stairs and saw them reach a wall and saw a bone creature. Tommy pressed the jaw down which opened the wall, revealing a lab that had a golden dinosaur footprint on a wall. "Whoa." Naruto was amazed, looking all around seeing all kinds of technology. "Naruto." He heard his name and turned to see Tommy leading him to a chair. "I told you I would tell you more, but I think this will help too." Tommy typing a few things and a video showed up. Naruto sat down and watched the screen, and Tommy explained. My story begins many years ago in a place called Angel Grove. 5 teenagers with attitude were recruited to fight the evil space sorceress Rita Repulsa. They harnessed the power of the dinosaurs to become the Earth's first Power Rangers. Naruto watched as the 5 teens were combating gray soldiers and monsters with the help of giant metal creatures. Under the guidance of intergalactic beings Zordon, Jason, Kimberly, Billy, Zack, and Trini bravely defended Earth. Rita was soon forced to create her own ranger. Naruto saw Tommy in some sort of school facility talking with Kimberly, while Tommy had long hair. He thought until he saw Tommy get captured and brainwashed into becoming a Green Ranger. Tommy continued her evil magic was too strong. I couldn't fight it. She commanded me to destroy the Power Rangers and I almost succeeded. But my friends never gave up on me. They destroyed the Sword of Darkness and freed me from Rita's power. And that's when I joined the team. Wow, you must have been totally amazing. Naruto complimented Tommy. Well, it was an honor. However, my time as a ranger didn't last forever. Tommy said. What do you mean? He asked and watched a video while Tommy continued. After some events the Green Ranger's power became only temporary. Soon enough the Green Ranger powers were extinguished from me. It was then Zordon bestowed upon me a new power of my own. The power of the White Ranger. And at a good time, because a new villain named Lord Zed was attempting to crush Earth, and with 3 rangers leaving their powers had to be passed on. Trini, Zack, and Jason passed on their powers, and Rocky, Adam, and Aisha stepped forward as the 3 new rangers. Because at that time Rita and Zed teamed up to become our most powerful foes, yet bringing with them a new terror Rito Revolto, Rita's brother. Naruto looked at the skeletal being, he's related to her. Weird I know, Tommy chuckled and moved on. The team fought bravely but it wasn't enough. Rito destroyed our Zords and our powers with them. But we never gave up. Zordon sent us on a quest to find Ninja, a warrior from the past who showed us the secrets of the ancient ninja. Our quest was completed giving us new weapons, new Zords, and new enemies. Naruto watched seeing the rangers fighting against blackbird-like creatures known as Tengas. Whoa, those birds are nasty. He gagged. But along with enemies came new friends, Tommy added. When Kimberly chose to leave, Catherine was the only choice. Kat assumed the Pink Ranger powers and just in time. A new villain known as Master Vile, the father of Rita and Rito, unleashed his terror on the planet. He succeeded in turning back the clock, returning us all to kids. Without our powers we couldn't combat him and his evil. Desperate, we sought the help of the alien rangers of the planet Aquator to combat Master Vile. While the alien rangers protected the planet, my friends and I had our own mission as well. We were each teleported to different time periods to obtain pieces of a fragment known as the Zeo Crystal, which would be the only chance we had in returning to our regular time and ages. When the final piece was recovered, Aisha chose to remain in the time period, sending in a replacement Tanya, who would assume the Yellow Ranger powers. However, when we thought things were back to normal, they took a turn for the worse. Rita and Zed's henchmen Golder and Rito planted a bomb inside the heart of the command center. We were teleported out just in time. Beneath the ruins we found the Zeo Crystal had guided us to the next chapter of our lives. Then what? Naruto was getting into the story, making Kim smile as she listened. We became the Zeo Power Rangers. And at that time a new evil moved in on Rita and Zed's territory. The Machine Empire. King Mondo and his minions planned to conquer our world, but when we needed help, we turned to an old friend. Jason returned and assumed the power of the Gold Ranger. Those Zeo powers were awesome, but what happened with Zed and Rita? He asked. King Mondo's forces were too strong and forced them to flee from the moon. When high school graduation was underway we were ready to face the world. But not before taking one last adventure as Rangers. It was time to shift into a higher gear. The Turbo Rangers were born because at that time Divatox, an evil space pirate, launched an attack on Earth. We were given the powers of Turbo and headed out, but with Rocky indisposed of we had to rely on a new ally. Justin. Wow, he looks no older than Konohamaru. He must be the youngest ranger there ever was. Naruto noticed Justin. Soon it was time for me and my fellow rangers to move on. So it was then we had to choose candidates to take up the mantle. TJ, Cassie, Ashley, and Carlos proved themselves worthy and assumed the powers of Turbo. Divatox and her Piranhatrons were relentless. She staged an attack on the Rangers, destroying the power chamber and their powers with it. Naruto watched in shock as the henchmen started tearing their base apart. Divatox headed for space for the plan of Earth's ultimate destruction. The Rangers had to follow Divatox through space to stop her, leaving behind the world they knew and Justin. The journey into space was treacherous, and a line between friend and foe was a pinpoint. Andros proved to be more than a friend, but a true leader to lead them against a new enemy. An enemy named Astronema. They thought they had no hope, but Andros brought them the Astromorphers, bringing together a new team. But 5 wasn't enough, so they freed the Silver Rangers Ain, who was a noble addition to the team. Naruto watched as the Space Rangers fight new monsters and villains, and even evil versions of themselves. Together they defeated Astronema and all the forces of evil from conquering the galaxy, but at the cost of Zordon's life. Naruto saw Andros break Zordon's tube, releasing powerful energy that turned the villains to sand. Wow, I guess that's where it ends, huh? I mean, all your villains are dust. Tommy shook his head. But deep in space another battle raged on the distant planet of Miranoi. 5 new heroes, Leo, Damon, Kendricks, Maya, and Kai, retrieved the galaxy sabers and were chosen to be the Rangers of the Lost Galaxy. Awesome. Naruto watched the 5 Rangers morph. They had to combine their powers to defeat their mortal enemy Trakina. She threatened to destroy the space colony Terra Venture and took on a horrible new form. The Red Ranger and his battleizer were the colony's only hope. With Trakina destroyed, the people of Terra Venture were forever grateful to the Lost Galaxy Rangers. Just how many Rangers are there? Naruto asked thought. Meanwhile back on Earth a new elite team was being established to fight a new battle against an invasion of demons. Carter, Joel, Kelsey, Chad, and Dana took the position of the Lightspeed Rescue Rangers, helping those in need. The Rangers however needed one more to complete their mission. That's when Ryan joined the team as the Titanium Ranger. With their powers combined they sealed the demon queen Banshira back into the tomb she and her army came from. Naruto waited knowing it still wasn't over and looked to another screen, seeing a ship flying through a vortex and crashing onto a beach. Whoa, what's that? Naruto asked, seeing 4 figures step out of it, being 2 boys, with one having green hair and a gem on his forehead, and 2 girls. They met up with another guy and morphed into a new team. Who are they? He asked. Rangers from the far future who chased a mutant criminal named Ransik through time, Tommy answered, but it took a modern-day hero to finish the job. Naruto saw one guy acquired a morpher and morphed into a splitting image of the Red Time Force Ranger. It took Eric a while to realize that the greatest virtue of being a ranger is not the power, but the reward of helping mankind. That Eric guy reminds me of Neji, Naruto thought. But wait, if those rangers came from the far future, then does that mean they have the answers to history of what's going to happen? He asked. It's dangerous to tamper with time, Naruto, that's why the Time Force Rangers had to bring Ransik back in order to restore the time stream. Tommy explained. Oh. Naruto saw another group of rangers with animal morph suits. In search of his destiny, Cole Evans joined the Wild Force Rangers alongside Danny, Alyssa, Taylor, and Max. Using the spirits of the ancient animals to fight the evil orgs, creatures determined to conquer Earth through pollution and destruction. The final member to join the team was Merrick the Lunar Wolf Ranger. With their powers they brought an end to Master Org and saved not only the Animarium, but Turtle Cove as well. These guys keep getting more and more awesome. Naruto smiled. It's not over yet. Tommy motioned to another screen where 3 figures, being 2 boys and a girl, morphing into rangers. 3 unlikely ninja students, Dustin, Shane, Tori, commanded the power of earth, air, and water. It was the power of thunder that gave them their biggest challenges, but their greatest enemies proved to be their greatest allies. But when the earth was on the brink of destruction, another friend, Cam, went back in time to retrieve the one power that could save them all, the power of the Green Samurai Ranger. In their final battle against Lothar, the Rangers made the ultimate sacrifice by giving up their powers to banish Lothar into the abyss of evil. The video ended, leaving Naruto just in awe. And that right there is the history of the Power Rangers, said Tommy. Naruto was just amazed learning the history of these Power Rangers, then realized something. Wait, I had thought the power coins were destroyed, so how is it that you can be a Pink Ranger? He asked Kim. Tommy explained. Me and Kim went to the destroyed command center to see if we could scavenge what was lost. It was lucky that Kim found the Crane power coin. With the help of my friend Haley, it took a few years to repair it back to its full power. Naruto felt an energy and took out the green Dino Gem. What's going on? He asked. Tommy smiled. Looks like the Dino is attached to your DNA. What do you mean? He asked. Tommy led him to another wall which opened up and saw 3 gems just like his, but they were different colors, red, yellow, blue. Whoa. You have the same gems like I do. Naruto said while looking at the gems. That's right, these 3 gems came from the meteor as I said that destroyed all the dinosaurs, but these are more special. Thanks to Haley's help, these gems possess the same power as a ranger. Tommy said and chuckled as he saw Naruto turn around and have an expression which was like a fish out of water. No way, but how did you find something like this though? Naruto asked but was still shocked. Tommy sighed knowing he might as well tell him, since the Dino Gem seems to have bonded with him. He took a seat and spoke. It was a couple years ago on an island. My partner and I were researching about these gems. We were also testing mixture of dinosaur DNA with technology. The pteranodrons were the results. Tommy said with regret. Kim rubbed his back, comforting him. So those things that attacked me were your experiments gone wrong? Naruto asked to confirm. Yeah, but they aren't meant to be used this way. An accident had happened causing me and my partner to flee the island, but unfortunately he didn't make it and I tried my best to find him, but it was too late. Tommy looked down. Naruto had felt bad for Tommy, his partner must have been a good friend, he know what's that like to lose a friend, as he remembered Niji's death to protected Hinata. Enough of the depression. Tommy chuckled to move one fast forward couple weeks later, I was attacked by the Pteranodrons and Zeltrax as they wanted the Dino Gems, I was lucky that Kimberly came to my rescue. Tommy smiled at Kim who returned one back. Who do they work for though? Naruto asked. A mutant dinosaur by the name of Mesogog, his goal is to gather all the Dino Gems and to restore the world back to the Triassic era, in short term the dinosaur era. Said Tommy. Naruto was shocked at this man was no different than Madara, talk about deja vu. But that's why with these 3 gems, I plan to find someone worthy to harness them to become the Power Rangers Dino Thunder. Tommy explained. Naruto was shocked and just looked at the green gem in his hand. I know it's a lot to take in, trust me, the gem chose you as you're worthy of it and after hearing your honesty, we think you are too, said Tommy and Kimberly nod with a smile. Naruto didn't know what to say, this was a big responsibility for him to help protect the world, even though he needs to find a way home he couldn't just abandon this world, he wasn't taught that, finding a way back will have to wait. You know my sensei has always taught me one thing, one motive, those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrade are worse than trash. Naruto said remembering Kakashi's speech the first time he joined Team 7. Your sensei is a wise man. Kimberly complimented and Tommy nodded. So, what does this mean, I'm a Power Ranger now? Naruto asked. Tommy got up from the chair. I would like you to be, you're perfect to be one, although it will be for a while, since we recently found this Dino Gem, we'll have to start working on it and building its morpher. He explained. Naruto nodded as he understood this. Well, since you got nowhere to go, you're going to be staying with us. Said Kimberly, which Naruto didn't expect and didn't want to impose, but Tommy cut him off. And we're not taking no for an answer. He grinned making Naruto sighed, but smiled. Alright, thank you. He bowed to them. Don't mention it. Kim told me of your fighting skills against the Pteranodrons and the teleportation power, thanks to the Dino Gem I say we got some work to do. I'll be helping improve your fighting skills and teach you how to control your power. Said Tommy. Naruto looked at Tommy and was shocked, he'll be learning under a veteran ranger and the best one. He nodded with a determination look, when do we start, sensei? He asked. Tommy smiled at the teen's determination and had a feeling Naruto would be the great Power Ranger just like him and his friends. Right now would be best. He said. -1 year later. Naruto had learned much under Tommy's teaching, his fighting skills had improved to the point where he can keep up with his sensei, he also had learned to control his teleportation power, which was funny consider his father used a teleportation jutsu as his signature move, Kim had too, helped him read English. As the days passed by, Naruto had started to bond with Kimberly and Tommy as they were like his older siblings to him. He had told all kinds of stories of his past life to the couple. Kimberly teared up as she heard about Naruto's treatment when he was younger because of what he contained, but even through that he still had turned out to be a good kid, she laughed hearing his pranks. Tommy smiled as Naruto didn't let the hatred of the people taint his heart, he's proven to be a Power Ranger. Naruto had met Haley, who handled the technology for Tommy and Kim, she was happy that Tommy made a right decision. We find him right now sleeping on the bed snoring away. A knock was heard at his door. Naruto, time to get up, you don't want to be late at your first day at high school. Kimberly said from the other side. Even though Naruto was a ninja and a good fighter as Tommy, he still needed the knowledge, he wanted to argue at first, but a glare from Kimberly made him think of Sakura's and decided not to argue. Naruto still was snoring in bed, so Kimberly opened the door and went to the window opening the blinds, and the bright sun hit his eyes. He groaned, alright, I'm up. Still drowsy as he sat up and scratched his head and saw Kimberly smiling. Good morning, now get ready, I'm making some breakfast. She said and ruffled his hair leaving back to the kitchen. He yawned and stretched his legs and arms, he threw the covers off and got up to gather clothes and head in the shower. Kimberly was setting breakfast down and had felt a pair of arms around her waist. Morning beautiful. Tommy said and gave her a kiss on the cheek. Good morning handsome. She said to her husband and kissed him. Smells good, is Naruto awake? He asked. Yeah, he should be coming down. Kim said. Just as she said he came down the stairs wearing different clothes that Kimberly had helped him pick out. He wore a black shirt with a green track jacket over it, with the sleeves being black and white stripes lines going down the arm. Black jeans and green Adidas shoes with black stripes, his hair had gotten a little longer and had decided to get it cut short, think of his hairstyle from the last movie. Morning sensei, morning Kimberly. He greeted the two. Morning, so you ready for your first day as a senior? Tommy asked. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of school, but I'm ready, he said, and ate some bacon with hash brown and drinking orange juice. 5 minutes later, once the two got done eating, Tommy kissed his wife as he and Naruto headed off to the high school. Riverside High School. Tommy pulled in as Naruto saw the huge school and many teens. Once parked, Naruto and Tommy got out and heading in the school. Naruto had felt eyes on him and turned to see a group of girls who were giggling and had heard something about handsome, causing him to have a tiny blush. Tommy saw and found this amusing. Already friendly with the ladies, Naruto. Tommy grinned, making Naruto glare at him. The two had arrived at the principal office and the woman with glasses. "Ah, you must be Dr. Oliver," she said as she stood up with a folder. "You must be Principal Randall, it's nice to meet you." Tommy offered a handshake, but she ignored it and opened a folder. "And this must be your nephew, Naruto Uzumaki, correct?" she said. "Yes, ma'am," Naruto said. Randall looked at him and back to the folder. "So, it must be your first day too, isn't?" asked Tommy. "Yes, I am still trying to figure out why a doctor of paleontology would come all the way to Riverside to teach science to teenagers," she drawled. "Yes, I'm just looking for some peace and quiet with my wife and nephew," Tommy smiled said. "So, you became a high school teacher, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense now, does it, Dr. Oliver?" she said, being a little sass. Naruto had a feeling something was not right with this lady. "You know what I was thinking, why don't we sit down later on and talk, this way you can fill me in of what you expect," Tommy offered. "I expect you make it hard for them, painful if all possible, if they smile you know you're doing something wrong, now if you'll excuse me I must take care of some stuff, we'll talk later." She excused herself and left. "Well, ain't she a ball of sunshine?" Naruto said sarcastically. Tommy chuckled. "Yeah, come on before we're late," he said as the two left. They had found the room and as Tommy opened the door he ducked under a paper airplane, seeing some students mess around. "I settle down. Take your seats please," Tommy said out loud as everyone took their seats. "I'm Dr. Oliver, this is first period science. We have a new student today, please welcome Naruto Uzumaki," Tommy introduced. Naruto had lots of eyes on him, which kind of made it awkward for him, and had greeted him. Kira, who was a dirty blonde hair girl with brown eyes wearing a grey long sleeve shirt with the sleeves being yellow, looked at Naruto and the first thing that came to her mind. Cutie, but she wasn't the only one thinking that as she heard some girls from behind talking about him. "You may take a seat, Naruto." Tommy excusing him, Naruto spotted a seat and sat next to the girl. "Now this is my first day, so any questions?" Tommy asked the students, and a blonde hair ponytail female student raised her hand. "Yes." She stood up and smiled. Cassidy Cornell." She introduced herself and everyone groaned and Naruto noticed the girl next to him rolled her eyes. "Dr. Oliver, as you may know I'm the anchor field reporter for a school TV station." Everyone groaned again and she scoffed and went to ask him questions. Naruto asked Kira quietly, "Does she do this often?" Kira broke from the annoyance and was being talked by the cute new student. "Yeah. You have no idea," she said but cursed herself for the stutter, thankfully he didn't notice. "I'm Naruto, by the way." He introduced himself even though Tommy already did, but it was polite. She gave a small smile. "Kira." She introduced herself. "Is someone missing?" asked Tommy as he looked around. "Connor McKnight, sir, I think he's at the soccer field," said Cassidy. Naruto heard Kira scoff, saying of course. "Who's this Connor guy?" he asked Kira. "He's the star soccer player here at Riverside. He's also the biggest arrogant jockhead," she described. Naruto knew this guy sounded like Kiba. He started to pay attention as Tommy spoke. On the school soccer field, two guys were practicing and were evidently skipping class because the boy fully padded and shaking in the net was nervous. Across from him a boy in a red soccer uniform kept a red soccer ball slightly in the air with his foot. His keep-ups lasted a few more seconds before he kicked it high into the air, flipped sideways after it and delivered a fierce and powerful kick as it came back down. As he landed on the soft grass, the ball went hurtling through the air towards the goalie, who shook in his shoes and dodged it. "Dude, you're supposed to try and stop it," the soccer star known as Connor groaned. "You sure we're not gonna get in trouble for this?" the other boy called worriedly. "I mean the bell rang and it's the first day of second semester. Look, if anyone says anything tell them Connor McKnight gave you permission to be out here," the red-clad soccer player stated, his messy brown hair falling slightly into his eyes. "Yeah, but I heard the new principal is crazy, she worked in a prison or something before she came here to Riverside." "Don't worry about Randall, she's a woman," Connor began, fully unaware of whom was slowly walking up behind him, even though the goalie was clearly telling him to shut up. "And women are just grown-up girls, need I say more?" "I think you've said quite enough, Mr. McKnight," Randall smirked, causing Connor's eyes to widen as he turned around. He put on his best smile as he faced her. "Principal Randall. I have heard such great things about you," he grinned. "They're all vicious rumors, I assure you," she stated. Go. Honor groaned and shook his head, walking off. Randall glared at the goalie. What are you looking at? She growled, before kicking a soccer ball with such force it hit the kid in the stomach and knocked him over. Now get back to class. She turned back and Connor was eye-wide. Naruto saw Kira at a picnic table as she was playing some strings on her guitar and writing some stuff down in her journal. Hey Kira. Naruto greeted her. Kira didn't expect Naruto to find her, not that she was hiding. What are you doing? He asked, sitting down on the bench. Oh, nothing important, just writing down some lyrics. Kira said. You write music, that's awesome. He complimented, making her blush a little at the comment. Let me hear you play something. He asked. Well, it's not really finished. She tried to make an excuse. Come on, at least let me hear what you have so far. He gave a light pout which made her laugh a little. Okay then, since you insist. She said and began to strum the guitar, getting a small group attention. I wanna know where you're at. I'm at the front, but you're still at the back. Oh, can you tell me where you're at? Freak you out. 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 Naruto along with the small group clapped, making her smile. Dang Kira, that was amazing. He complimented. Their applause was ruined moments later when Randall stalked up to them, clipboard in hand and soccer star Connor McKnight reluctantly following. Miss Ford. I'm afraid you need written permission to perform on school grounds. Let's go. Are you aware that kids who play an instrument have a 50% higher chance of getting into college? Kira inquired and Randall lowered her glasses to grin at her. Well, you're hardly college material now, are you, Miss Ford? She smirked, tapping her clipboard. Now come with me. Kira groaned and slid off the table, bringing her guitar with her. I guess I'll be coming too. Naruto. And why is that, Mr. Uzumaki? Questioned Randall. Because I asked Kira to perform, so I'm kind of involved too. He said. Kira was going to make an excuse for him, since it was not fair for him to get detention on his first day, but she saw him wink at her. Very well then, the more the merrier. She led the now 3 students. Naruto with the 2 teens who were grumbling followed the principal across the grounds towards the school. The sprinklers burst into life, spraying them with vast amounts of water from all sides, causing everyone to run. Oh come on, I just got these. Naruto ran out. This is just great. Kira muttered as the teens and Randall ran out of the sprinkler radius. The principal turned and spotted a blue-clad teen of African American descent walking towards the school with umbrella in hand and smiling widely. Ethan James, she growled. I should have known. She stalked off after him, yelling for the other 3 to follow her, which they did reluctantly. Sit. The principal barked as they arrived near the office. The 4 teens, 3 of which were drenched, sat down on the bench outside her office. Principal Randall, I'd just like to mention the fact that there's no hard evidence linking me to that unfortunate sprinkler incident, stated Ethan, smiling innocently. Save it for Judge Judy, Mr. James, Randall snapped. The 4 of you have detention. For 1 week. Starting today. Now if there are no further questions. The 3 teens burst into a frenzied protest. Connor's about soccer, Kira's about band practice, and Ethan's about computer club. Naruto remained silent. I didn't think so. Randall yelled, cutting them off before storming into her office and slamming the door shut. Okay, Kira sighed, her voice thick with anger. Somebody seriously needs a hug. That goes double for me. Naruto said. She looked at him. Why did you say you were involved? You could have just left. She asked. Naruto shrugged. Well, technically it's my fault that you got detention since I asked you to play. She wanted to say something back, but he spoke. Besides, maybe I'll get to hear more of you. He grinned. Kira, even though she has never been into dating since she focuses on her singing dreams, felt something for him and they just met. Dude. Connor leaned forward, looking past the 2 to stare at Ethan. Computer club. Bring the little monsters with you. Randall smiled as she came around the corner of the hall with Dr. Oliver at her side. That should be sufficient torture for them. Connor, Ethan, Kira and Naruto leaned against a wall outside science class, the 3 not looking amused at all, while Naruto just kept silence. You've all met, I trust. Randall grinned. Well, enjoy your little outing. But that she was off, leaving an awkward silence in her wake as the teens glared after her and Naruto chuckled, looking at Tommy. So, Tommy began, taking off his glasses and watching the teens. Do you guys like museums? Whoa. Ethan grinned like a little kid as Tommy's jeep pulled up to the museum and he spotted the huge T-Rex statue out front. Check out the T-Rex. Naruto was just admiring the statue till Kira tapped his shoulder and followed. Once they got to the entrance, there was a chain from which hung a sign, "Sorry, we're closed." That's weird, Tommy commented, looking up at the museum. Oh well, no museum for us, Connor sighed, faking disappointment. Great, let's go home, Kira suggested. I'll tell you what, why don't you guys have a look around the grounds? Tommy inquired. If any of you guys find anything prehistoric, I'll cancel detention for the rest of the week. Sweet. Said an enthused Ethan. I'm gonna see if I can find someone who can tell us when they're opening up. Naruto, come with me, Tommy stated. The three teens walked off down the side road. So lem get this straight, Connor began, looking at Ethan. They have a club just for computers. Naruto and Tommy went to the front door where there was a sign. In case of emergency, call Anton Mercer Industries. Naruto read out loud. Tommy froze at the name and was shocked. Anton Mercer, but how? He said to himself. Naruto looked at his mentor as he saw his expression. What is it, sensei? He asked. Anton Mercer, he was my partner that was on the island when it sank. Tommy answered. But you said that he. I know, which doesn't make sense. Tommy said as he was still confused. Why didn't Anton contact him all these years? The two looked behind and appeared were 20 Tyrandrans. Well, my normal is day out the window. Naruto said, getting in fighting position. Naruto, it's time to use it. Said Tommy, getting in his fighting stance. He nods and pulls up his left sleeve, and there on his wrist was a silver bracelet with a green gem, but it had then transformed into a green morpher, with the design being a velociraptor with a small curved spike on its head. Flashback. Naruto had been called down to the lab and was greeted by Tommy, Kim and Haley. What's going on? Asked Naruto. It's ready. Tommy said with a grin and saw Naruto confused but was eye-wide as he remembered. You're joking, right? Naruto asked. Nope, it said and ready. Said Haley. Tommy opened the silver suitcase and there it was, his Dino Morpher. End flashback. Let's do this. Naruto said with determination and activated his Morpher. Play Dino Thunder Morph theme. Dino Thunder power up, ha. He pushed a button on his Morpher. He went through all kinds of flips and landed wearing green spandex with a gold dinosaur foot logo on the chest and a gold belt around the waist, gold rhombus designs from shoulders down the arms and legs. His boots were also green, but the top edge was a gold color. His helmet was green with the top shape of a velociraptor. Black rectangle eye shield and a curved back point on the top. He posed a fighting style as the reptilian dinosaur behind him gave a screeching roar. Naruto was amazed as he felt the energy and looked at his suit. Whoa, so this is what it feels like to be a Power Ranger. Naruto said to himself. Naruto, call your weapons there in your belt. Tommy informed. The nod and a green light came from his belt and appeared were golden 5-inch metal claws for each finger and 3 curved sickle claws for both feet. Alright, let's rock. Naruto shouted as he jumped high over the Tyrannodrans and started to slash them one by one and doing spinning capoeira kicks and taking multiple of them out. Tommy kicked one Tyranodran and punched another and back flipped followed by a jumping spinning back kick. One grabbed him from behind and another tried to attack from the front, but he kicked both feet up, planting them to the chest of the enemy, then grabbing a hold from behind and threw the Tyranodran over his shoulder. Naruto spun in a circle slashing many Tyrannodrans as explosion sparks flew making them fall. He saw his sensei getting overrun and had jumped in slashing the enemies. He decided to test his powers and teleported confusing the Tyrannodrans till he appeared behind one slashing it, then disappearing and doing the same trick to many as he became nothing but green flashes. Once the Tyrannodrans were defeated they retreated back as they vanished in a green portal. Oh, come guys, I was just having fun. Naruto complained. He demorphed and saw his sensei who looked alright. You okay, sensei? Tommy nodded. Yeah, I'm alright, looks like you know how to handle your new powers. He said making Naruto laugh and scratching his head sheepishly. We better find the others. Said Tommy and both searched for the trio. A couple minutes later the two had saw the trio. Hey. Tommy had finally found them and as he ran towards them, they stuffed the gems into pockets and sleeves and out of sight, looking as inconspicuous as possible, but Naruto being a former shinobi caught this, but didn't say anything. You guys alright? Asked Tommy. But like Kira started, Ethan interrupted her. Yeah, couldn't be better, he grinned. Nothing out of the ordinary happened. Tommy inquired. Naruto was still paying attention to the group and noticed Kira looking at him and gave a small smile. Nah, just your, routine hike in the woods, Ethan told him. Lots of furry little creatures. And a few scaly ones, Kira commented, and Connor applied slight pressure to her foot by standing on it, shutting her up as Tommy frowned at her. So, you both get into the Dino exhibit? Connor inquired, drawing Dr. Oliver's focus to him. Still working the kinks out, he stated. We better get you guys back. Come on. Tommy led them with Naruto next to him. Don't you guys think we should tell him? Kira inquired as they dropped back a bit from their science teacher in order to talk. I don't know about you, but I've got over 1,000 sci-fi DVDs, and you wanna know how many times the dude with the superpowers ends up in from freaky government lab on a table with wires in his head? Ethan whispered. Even I know that, Connor stated as they stopped to talk in a little circle. What about Naruto? she asked. What, and make the new student think we're crazy? No thank you, said Connor. We even don't know him that much, so let's just keep this between the three of us, said Ethan, and Connor nodded in agreement. Kira, on the other hand, still didn't like it. Tommy stopped walking and turned to look at them. You guys coming? Giving each other one last agreeing glance and followed. Naruto was in his room listening to some rock music that his sensei got him into and doing homework that Tommy gave him. 10 minutes passed by and he heard his name being called by him. Being lazy, he just teleported and appeared in the lab and saw his sensei, who had a stressed expression as he searched for something. What's wrong, sensei? He asked. The Dino Gems are gone, said Tommy. This shocked him. What, but how? It couldn't have been Mesogog goons, he asked. Tommy shook his head. I don't know, but whoever took them must not know what they really are. Before Naruto responded, the two had heard something. At first the two thought it was Kim as she went shopping, but heard two male voices. Naruto and Tommy glanced at each other and hid in the shadow of the lair as two figures entered. Once the two figures had walked a little further into the room, they realized it was two of the students, the computer guy Ethan James and school soccer star Connor McKnight. Tommy and Naruto looked at each other and nodded. Together they stepped out into the light. If you two are here looking for extra credit, you're in the wrong place, Tommy said, crossing his arms. Connor and Ethan turned, surprise on their faces. Naruto came up behind next to his sensei, surprising the guys more, and looked at the both, waiting for an explanation with his own arms crossed. Connor and Ethan looked at each other nervously, not sure about what they should say. Eventually Ethan spoke. Dr. O, before you go off, can we at least explain why we're here? He asked, his eyes wide and his voice giving away his fear. Connor hit his chest. Dude, they're just gonna laugh if we tell them, he said. It's the truth, they'll believe us, Ethan said, only a little sure of himself. Although reluctant, Connor eventually agreed. Alright, he said before looking up at Naruto and Tommy. Kira's gone. What happened to her? Naruto questioned with a serious tone. She got taken by these weird looking dinosaur things, Ethan added. Tommy and Naruto looked at each other, neither looking happy. Tommy turned back, walking a few steps forward. They're called pteranodrons, he said. The three teens followed him as he went further into the lair. And you know that, because? Ethan asked. Naruto sighed. Because he helped created them, he answered for his sensei, who shot him thankful look. Oh, class project? Ethan asked sarcastically. It's a long story, Tommy said, turning around to face the two teens. For now, we need to figure out what they want with Kira. Naruto looked and saw his gem glowing and looked at the two. Connor, suddenly looking even more uncomfortable than he already was, dug his hand into his pocket. It could be because of these. In the palm of his hand were the yellow and red Dino Gems. Tommy and Naruto both stared at them, their eyes wide with horror. Silently Tommy took the yellow gem, looking it over in his hand. Look, we're really sorry. How were we supposed to know that those things had like superpowers and that those lizard dudes were going to come looking for them? Connor asked, looking truly sorry, but knowing that he wouldn't be able to take back what he had done. Tommy looked at the gems in his hand and sighed. I guess this isn't exactly something you see every day, he agreed, turning to face the boys. Sensei can't say that again. Naruto gave a small chuckle. Sort of like a science teacher with the ruins of an ancient civilization under his house. Ethan asked. Look, not that isn't seriously cool and all, but seriously, dude, you need to come clean, Connor said. Tommy raised his eyebrows at Connor, while Naruto's eyes narrowed at the soccer star lack of respect to his sensei, and stepped forward, answering, okay, first of all, don't call him dude. Second, as hard as this may seem, the both of you need to forget all about this. Sensei and I will find Kira, he said, following Tommy to a large computer. Connor sped over and past Tommy and Naruto with his super speed. He stopped him in his tracks as he skidded to a stop in the way. The gem's power is already starting to bond with you, Tommy pointed out. You can tell us all about it now or at my next parent-teacher conference, Connor stated, a light threat hanging in his voice, but that didn't sit well with Naruto and stepped in front of him. Naruto, wait. He looked over his shoulder at his sensei. Tommy realized that Connor wasn't going to give up. He sighed heavily, coming to a decision. You got a name? Kira attempted to make conversation as she backed up warily, the tall black-clad woman with thick dark makeup coming closer in menacing steps. You kinda look familiar. My master calls me Elsa, she replied. Your master? Kira snorted. Okay, whatever. Look, I'm gonna let myself out. She turned around only to have Elsa grab onto her shoulder with a tight grip. Kira whirled around, ducking Elsa's punch and blocking a few more before grabbing her arm and twisting her shoulder at a hurtful angle. As she was spun away by her opponent, she roundhouse kicked her in the stomach, sending her flying a few feet through the air where she landed, stood up and snarled angrily. She was holding her shoulder, so it was evident Kira had hurt her. Whoa, Kira breathed, dropping from a fight stance to a more apologetic one. I so did not mean to do that. She turned around, running towards the exit, but was stopped when a tall and heavily armored figure stepped through carrying an axe and shield. On his heels were a few of the lizard creatures from the forest. "Meet Zeltrax," Elsa grinned. "You two dating?" Kira laughed nervously. "Or just friends?" Elsa glared at the back of Kira's head as Zeltrax lifted his axe, aiming to chop it off. Deciding to give this a try again, Kira opened her mouth and screamed, sending yellow waves of sonic energy at the monsters and Zeltrax and flooring them. With one look over her shoulder at Elsa, Kira took off down the hall as fast as she could, the remnants of the woman's angry yells to pursue her fading away as she ran on. She cut a corner and saw a green orb and hesitantly reached for it and touched it, vanishing in a green flash. The crew were on the road. Naruto was in the front with Tommy and the two teens were in the back. "So? When you said you helped create those Tyranno," Ethan trailed off, unable to remember what the creatures from the forest had been called. "Whatevers, you were just kidding, right? They weren't supposed to be used like this," Tommy told him, glancing up in the mirror at the blue cat boy seated in the back with Connor. "Someone's modified their programming." He went on for a few more minutes as they drove on, talking about his past in dinosaur DNA with Anton Mercer, a rich man who'd gone missing before the lab island got blown up. "And the guy who did this is back?" Connor asked. "He calls himself Mesagog," Tommy replied. "And you think he's after the gems?" the soccer star added, leaning forward from his seat behind Dr. Oliver. "Well, of course, genius, why else would he be after us?" Naruto said in an obvious tone. Connor glared at him, but then noticed his bracelet had a Dino Gem. "Wait a minute, you have one too?" he questioned. Naruto looked down and cursed himself, but he knew he would have to tell soon. "Yeah, I do. I found the green Dino Gem a year ago and was attacked by the same freaks that took Kira. I was lucky that I escaped them and that Tommy had found me." He lied, although it was true he was attacked by the Pteranodrons. "That reminds me, what were you doing with Dr. O?" asked Ethan. "I live with him and his wife, I'm his nephew." Naruto grinned. If it weren't for the situation right now, he would have laughed as he saw both the men's reaction. Tommy stopped the jeep as Ethan snapped out of his reaction. "Okay, look, this is all total fascinating, but how is this helping us find Kira? I mean, she's not gonna fall out of the sky and land in front of us." On cue, Kira appeared from a green light, landing on the jeep hood. The boys were silenced to register what just happened. Naruto got out the jeep followed by the guys and checked on her. "Kira, are you alright?" asked Naruto, helping her off the hood. "Yeah, I think so," she said. "How did you do that?" Ethan piped up as his overly popped out eyes still hadn't returned to normal since she poured it in. "I have no idea. One minute I'm being chased by franken lizards in this creepy lab and next thing I know I'm a hood ornament," Kira replied. "Invisa portals," added Tommy. "Whatever, next time, I'm calling a cab," she said wryly. "Wait, what are you guys doing here?" "With Naruto and with our science teacher." "We came to rescue you," Ethan stated. "Nice job, how's sitting around and doing nothing helping me?" Kira inquired. Naruto put a hand on her shoulder. "Don't be too hard on them, Kira, they were really worried for your safety." He was interrupted by a horde Pteranodrons and Zeltrax arriving at the end of the road. The 14 stood together as Tommy joined them, standing in front. "Still doing the dirty work for Mesagog, huh, Zeltrax?" Tommy taunted. "You are not fit to speak my master's name," Zeltrax growled. "Come with me peacefully or suffer the consequences." "I'm gonna have to say no," Tommy stated, triggering Zeltrax's attack. He ducked the axe swing and got right into battle against him and the Pteranodrons, using fighting moves the teens except Naruto never knew he had. Naruto was over at the grass, surrounded in a circle by a dozen of Pteranodrons, and got in a fighting stance. Two charged towards him from front and back. He punched the first one in front of him in the chest and back elbowed the one behind him in the gut. He right kicked another in the chest. He right high kicked another in the face and into a spinning left hook kick, hitting another. He ducked under one of their sharp arms and punched it hard in the stomach, dropping it. Dodging another Pteranodron, he gave a hard straight side right kick in the chest, sending it crashing against the others, knocking them down. He looked up, seeing a Pteranodron coming down at him. He vanished in a green flash, confusing the monster as it looked around, but looked up as Naruto appeared and came down, stomping on its back and stomped its head in. "Nighty-night." Naruto grinned. Kira was doing well as she continued to block and attack the Pteranodrons and had flipped them off their feet. More came at her, but she backflipped backwards and doing a jumping spinning kick. She dodged more of the monsters as they regrouped in a perfect fashion for Kira's liking. She opened her mouth and unleashed another blast of sonic scream energy, sending them all sprawling. "Okay, that's just crazy," she commented and turned around, but was not prepared to be face to face with a Pteranodron which kicked her in the chest. She fell down holding her chest and saw the monster going for a slash. Everything seemed to slow down as the sharp arm came down. All of a sudden, in green flash, Naruto was in front of her with his arms in X guard, blocking the monster's attack. Kira was shocked at what he did. Naruto's arm was sliced good as he blocked the attack, but he ignored the pain and threw the pteranodron's arm away and front kicked it hard in the chest, sending it back. Naruto had turned around and checked on Kira. "Are you alright?" He knelt down and helped her up. She looked at him wondering what he just did, but noticed the blood on his arm which had freaked her out. "Your arm," she exclaimed worried. Naruto shook his head. "Don't worry about me, I'll be fine," he assured her. Both had turned to see more pteranodrons coming. Naruto held his arm out stopping Kira, which confused her. "I got this," he told her. She was going to argue with him, but he teleported in a green flash, shocking her more. She looked and saw nothing but green flashes dropping the pteranodrons. Naruto came back next to her and was a little exhausted as he dropped on one knee panting. Kira checked on him. "Are you okay?" she asked in concern. He nods and tries to stand up with the help of Kira. "Yeah, I'm alright, just takes a lot out of me," he said. "I still can't use my powers long enough without morphing." They saw Ethan and Connor take care of the monster and saw their teacher handling his own. The two regrouped with Connor and Ethan getting behind their teacher. The three got in an all-sporting fighting stances while Naruto stood next to Tommy and was in his own fighting stance. Tommy grinned. "Make sure you tell your master, Dr. Oliver's back. I will inform him that this battle is over, but the war has only just begun." Zeltrax growled, bringing his shield up in front of him as he and the pteranodrons ported away in green light. "That's the best he could do?" Ethan inquired as they walked back towards the jeep. "Let's get out of here," Tommy told them. "It's getting late. I don't want your parents to worry." "I bet you don't," Connor stated. "You might have to explain something." "I'll fill you in tomorrow after school, I promise," Tommy said. Naruto opened the front passenger door for Kira. "Ladies first," he said with a smile. She blushed a little at his smile and thanked him. She heard the guys snickering and had turned to glare at them, shutting them up. The bell rang at Riverside High the next morning as Ethan, Connor, Kira and Naruto filed into class. The cut Naruto suffered wasn't too bad, but had to keep it wrapped up for a couple days. Boy, he received a big scold from Kimberly. Right now, he and Kira were in the middle of a talk about their favorite music genre when a snobby blonde holding a recorder cut him off and was in front of Kira. "Kira Ford, Cassidy Cornell, Riverside News Network," she introduced herself swiftly. "Cassidy, I know who you are, we've been at school together for a painfully long time," Kira quipped, stopping at her seat. "Yes, anyway," Cassidy went on. "What can you tell me about the mysterious goings-on at Riverside? For example, the sudden friendship between you, Connor McKnight, Ethan James and new guy Naruto Uzumaki." "You do know I'm standing here, right?" Naruto stated, but was ignored. Ethan and Connor from their separate tables and groups in the science lab looked over, intrigued. "Look," Kira began but was cut off. "Or better yet, the strange creatures that appeared out of nowhere and attacked you in broad daylight yesterday," Cassidy pressed. "What about that, huh?" "Look, other than being Naruto's friend and hanging with him, I have no idea what you're talking about," Kira stated, earning an annoyed sigh from the reporter. "And as you can see, I'm just fine. But you look kind of pasty," Naruto suggested, and Kira snapped her fingers, nodding. "Did you just say pasty?" Cassidy inquired, her voice cracking. "Are you serious? I hate fluorescent lighting." As Kira rolled her eyes and took her seat with Naruto, Tommy came in and politely asked Cassidy, now frantically checking herself out in her compact mirror, to sit down. Grinning sheepishly, she scurried to her seat. "She reminds me so much of someone back home I know," Naruto whispered, thinking about Ino. Kira, who smiled. "Everyone's got their superficial stuck-up Barbie doll. Ours is Cassidy," she stated. "Back in Japan, it's Ino," Naruto told her. "Ino? What kind of a name is that?" Kira inquired. "Don't know," Naruto shrugged. "But she was known as the biggest gossip in town, I swear." "Okay, so, today we'll be talking about the Mesozoic period," Tommy spoke, drawing attention back to him. "Who can tell me when it all began?" None of his students could answer with anything more than surprised yells as the whole place shook furiously like an earthquake. The lights then went out everywhere before backup generators kicked in and dimmer lights turned on. Students rushed towards the window as the sky went black and lightning and thunder rung out. As panicked cries erupted from the students, only Naruto, Kira, Connor, Ethan and Cassidy remained in their seats. Through the open door came Devon, running at top speeds, and he skidded to a stop beside Cassidy, a large goofy grin plastered on his face. "Cass, you're never gonna believe this." "Lem guess, the sky just went black in the middle of the day?" Cassidy asked. "It did." Devon was confused, but a shout from Cassidy reminded him why he was here. "I just heard this whack report about mechanical dinosaurs attacking downtown." Tommy's head snapped up at this. "Oh, grab your camera," Cassidy told Devon, grabbing his hand and heading towards the door. "Wait, hold it you two," Dr. Oliver called just as the intercom turned on. Students remained calm. The mayor has declared a state of emergency. Please report to the front of the school for immediate dismissal. As Principal Randall repeated her announcement and students rushed out of class, Tommy approached Kira, Naruto, Ethan and Connor. Dr. O, now would be a really good time to have that little chat. Kira stated. We're out of time, Tommy replied. If Mesogog revived the Biozords, we got to act fast. Come with me. They rushed out as the four exchanged glances. What's the worst that could happen? Ethan shrugged. Seriously, you ask that? You should have seen enough movies to know to never say that because it'll end up biting us in the ass, Naruto said and followed his sensei. The three all followed him. So, these mechanical dinosaurs, they're your friends? Kira asked. Biozords, Tommy stated, turning to face the four teens as they entered his basement laboratory. Fusion-powered replicates using actual dinosaur DNA for the neural functions. Wait, lem guess, you helped build them? Sarcastically asked Ethan. I'm afraid so, Tommy sighed, now standing by his large computer system. But right now, I mean you, have to tame them. It'll bell if it's all the same to you. Said Ethan. What's that mean? Tommy inquired, now needing translation of his own. Be back later, Ethan stated and turned walking away. Ethan, wait, the paleontologist called, stopping him and walking towards him with a determined face. You can do this. But you won't have to do it alone. Ever since I found the Dino Gems, he added, walking towards a table in the center of the room, where a steaming meteor rock with 4 gems had been previously. I've had these waiting. In case I ever needed to harness their powers. Into what? Kira asked. Tommy opened the briefcase on the table. Inside were 3 little morphers, no bigger than their hands that were attached to metal wristbands. Each was a different color and designed after a different dinosaur. Dino morphers, Tommy replied, eyeing the teens. Use these to become Power Rangers. Connor laughed. Kira scoffed and Ethan's eyes widened. I think I may need to sit down. Said Ethan as his knees weakened and he backed up. Breathe, dude, Connor chuckled, helping him back to his feet. We can be Power Rangers, Kira stated, and Tommy looked at her questioningly. Aren't you supposed to fly or have superhuman strength and stuff like that? Kira, Naruto smiled, tapping his friend on the shoulder. The fight against the Pteranodrons. He reminded her. Oh yeah, the dirty blonde nodded, remembering their fights with them. I forgot. Her cheeks flushed a little red. Your gems are from the asteroid that crashed into Earth millions of years ago, wiping out the entire dinosaur population, Tommy explained. When I found them, I recognized their power and hid them so that they wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. How do you know these are the right hands? Connor inquired. The gems are yours. You didn't choose them. They chose you. Naruto explained, showing his gem. I found the green gem last year and just like you it bonded with my DNA. And they unchoose us? Kira asked. Tommy walked off to his computer. Just as Naruto said, they've already bonded to your DNA, Tommy told them. It's what gave you your powers. So, if they're already bonded with us, how come Mesogog and his creeps are still after them? Asked Ethan. Tommy walked back over to them, a somber look on his face. The only way these powers can be taken away is if you're destroyed. Okay, for future reference, that's not a great selling point, Ethan said with a nervous look. Look, all I know is that I don't remember asking to be a superhero, Connor exclaimed. The gems wouldn't have bonded to you if you didn't already have something inside you that could handle the power, Tommy explained, returning to stand behind the briefcase and push it towards them. Please. Naruto looked at the three. Looks guys, I was on the same boat as you, I never had planned on becoming a superhero when I came to live with Tommy, but maybe this was meant to be. As I said, the gems choose you, they wouldn't have if they didn't think you were worthy. I accepted the responsibility and knew what I would face, but it would be worth it to keep the world safe. His bracelet transformed into a gold-eye green velociraptor morpher, shocking them. Now you guys have the chance to do that. The speech had the three feel something they haven't felt so strongly of. Determination. Connor may have not planned to be a superhero, but he knows what's right and what's best. Ethan may be a computer guy and not a fighter, but he knows when the world is in danger, you can't just stand by and do nothing. Here, although she never had planned on doing this, she knew what needs to be done to keep the world safe, just as Naruto said. Connor's morpher was in the shape of a red Tyrannosaurus head, with gray spikes on its face and a yellow eye. Ethan's took the shape of a blue Triceratops head, its gray nose and head horns sticking out and contrasting with its green eye. Kira's was much more pointed, in the image of a yellow pterodactyl with its pale gray bump on its head and flashing red eye. So now what? Ethan inquired. Do we need some kind of secret password or command? All you three have to say is Dino Thunder, power up and you'll be transformed, trust me, you'll know then what to do. Naruto explained. Dino Thunder? Connor chuckled, looking at Naruto. What did you come with that? I kinda like it. Ethan smiled. You would? Connor smirked, making Kira roll her eyes. Naruto chuckled. Look, I know you three are from different worlds, I get it, Tommy stated. That's an understatement, Kira muttered. But you're going have to work together or this'll never happen, he told them. Naruto has been a ranger for one day and knows what it's like and what to expect, but he can't do it alone. He glanced at his student and went back at the three teens. This won't be easy, nobody knows that better than I do. But you're going to have to believe in yourselves. 'Cause I believe in you. Really? Connor questioned. Really? Tommy nodded. So, what are we waiting for, we got some Zords to tame. Naruto that they headed off. Downtown, 3 large bio Zords regrouped near one of the main parks. The flyer landed on a building nearby, while the large 2-legged creature lumbered near and the 4-legged one followed. Tommy pulled his jeep as close as he could to the area. Okay, this is it. He stated as everyone climbed out. That must be them, the soccer star breathed as they looked up. Wow, good call Connor, Kira quipped. A strange noise was heard and in a flash of purple Zeltrax appeared, causing the 5 to stand together at the ready. I really hate this guy so much. Naruto said annoyed. You'll have to get past me if you want those Zords. Declared Zeltrax. This part I'm looking forward to. Connor smirked. I've been waiting for this all day. Naruto gave his fox grin. You guys ready? Ethan asked. Oh yeah. Kira nodded smiling. Ready? Connor yelled, bringing his wrist up near his chest. Ready? The other 3 chorused, following suit. Dino Thunder morph theme. Dino Thunder, power up. Ha. They all called as their morphers glowed. With a series of twists and turns and a rush of power, latex suits molded to their bodies, each in their own Dino Gem color, as faint dinosaur roars pushed them along. They stood together after their morph, new flashy suits on and in their battle stance, before breaking their concentration to examine their new attire. Whoa. Ethan breathed. This totally rocks. Kira smiled. Awesome right? Naruto smirked. Oh yeah. Connor pumped his fists into the air happily. So you're Power Rangers. Zeltrax growled, clenching his fists. Call your weapons, they're in your belt. Tommy instructed. Naruto had half a mind to remind him he knew what he was doing, but decided against it for the time being. You got it, Dr. O. Connor nodded, before their belts began to glow. Whoa, check it out. As their weapons materialized from the glow, more calls of awe echoed amongst them. Sweet, I got a Tyranno staff. Connor grinned, wrapping his fists around the red and white staff with a menacing T-Rex head at the end of it. I can come to grips with this, Kira nodded, bringing sharp yellow daggers, modeled like pterodactyl heads, into a comfortable position in her hands. Terra grips. Sweet, a Triceratops shield. Ethan smiled wide as the blue and sharp shield, modeled after a Triceratops head, buckled to his arm. They took a step forward, aiming their weapons at Zeltrax. Naruto with his gold talon claws and sickle claw feet was doing slashing movements and a kick. Velox talons ready for battle. He grinned, AE Velox is Latin for swift or rapid. Enough. Zeltrax yelled, as more than a dozen pteranodrons ported in through purple electric fields, growling and rushing forward. Tightening their grip on their weapons, the Rangers met them halfway. Kira was able to block the sharp arms of the creature with her Ptera grips, before swinging one down and slashing it across the chest, creating a shower of sparks. She repeated the process against a handful of others before crouching to her knees and swinging her daggers against 2 passing pteranodrons, flipping them over in a flurry of sparks. She stood up and kicked and blocked a monster with her feet before thrusting her blades into its chest and kicking it to the ground. She turned, going on her knees again and swinging all around her, meeting blade and arm and flesh as she went kicking a creature in the shin. She jumped backwards, flipping through the air until she landed a few feet away and taunted a monster to attack. That all you got? One monster attempted to take her on, but she jumped through air, kicking it backwards again and again until it hit the ground amidst more of its kind. Ethan was next to test his weapon, swinging it in a circle around him and smashing its sharp and horned tip into monster after monster. He kicked upwards, catching on in the jaw before bringing the shield down on it. It blocked with an arm and kicked him in the stomach, making him skid back a few steps. They swarmed him, forcing him into a crouching position before he cried out, swinging his shield wildly as it connected with them and caused sparks to burst forward as they went flying towards the asphalt. Getting to his feet, he drove the spike into the chest of a monster before pulling and throwing it off behind him into a row of its own kind, sending them all crashing down. See ya. He grinned. Naruto jumped over the pteranodrons and slashed 2 charging at him and turned behind slashing another 2. He roundhouse high kicked one of them and left spinning hook kick taking 2 more of them out. He then jumped up and slashed down at another. He teleported and appeared behind one slashing it, then doing the same to 4 more. He jumped on one slashing it and backflipped off it. He low sweeped some off their feet and backflipped 3 times and took his fighting stance, making a bring it gesture to them. They charged at him. He blocked one of their attacks, then slashing its body causing sparks to fly, and slashed another in the leg, making it do a flip somersault and fell. He kicked another in the chest and started deliver a fury of slashes to many of them, and had all dropped. Naruto took a stance. I love being a Power Ranger. Connor swung the staff around, keeping the monsters at a safe radius, before smashing it against the legs of a few and causing them to fall in a shower of sparks. Have a nice trip. He grinned, before proceeding to jab a few others with the staff and send them flying off. See you next fall. With the Tyranno staff perched across his shoulders, he ran through a group of them, hitting them in the face and flooring them. He brought it back to his hands just in time to block a joint kick from two monsters and push them away. Spinning the staff around again, sparks burst into action whenever the Tyranno head on the end of the staff connected with a monster and it bit down with sharp teeth. Connor smirked, driving it into the chest of a rushing monster and showering it with sparks as it fell. He spun his weapon in his hands before flipping through the air over top of a few monsters. When he landed, he swung the staff forward, flooring them all as brightly colored sparks erupted from their chests. Freeze. Ethan called, stepping up to Zeltrax. You first. He cried, sending a purple-colored beam of light at the Blue Ranger that wrapped around him, sending vast amounts of volts through his system before flinging him away, where he smashed into a tree and fell to the ground. Ethan. Kira called as she, Connor and Naruto jumped in, standing protective in front of him. This did nothing as seconds later Zeltrax fired off small lasers, blasting them all off their feet as they were hit by the beams and sparks went flying. Naruto looked up, glaring even if his opponent couldn't see it through the helmet. Rangers. Tommy called. Combine your weapons. Right. Connor nodded, pushing himself to his feet alongside the others. Using Ethan's Tricera shield as a base, Connor's Tyranno staff folded in half and he placed it, T-Rex head facing Zeltrax, onto the shield. Kira's Ptera grips were then added, creating a tunnel for which the laser to fire through, and Naruto Velox talons locked into place around the mix, forming the weapon. As Connor held the triggers to the weapon, Kira and Naruto stood at his sides, steadying the weapon while Ethan crouched beneath it, using his shoulders to direct it at Zeltrax. Z-Rex blaster. They cried together. Ready. Fire. The large multicolored beam shot forward, smashing into Zeltrax and sending him sprawling as the weapon broke back into its four separate pieces, returning to their owner's hands. We did it. Kira exclaimed. You've showed me your weapons, Zeltrax growled, backing up. Now meet mine. He teleported away in a flash of purple. The three Biozords came stomping, or flying, towards them. The Rangers rejoined Tommy and looked up at the sky as a huge ship shaped like a stingray glided above the buildings. Lasers burst out from it and the Rangers and Tommy went flying through the air as explosions went off behind them. They rushed towards the jeep. Naruto got up and helped up his sensei. Okay, how do we fight that? Connor questioned, getting up. You three have got to tame the Zords, Tommy told them. 3. What about Naruto? Kira frowned, glancing at the green Dino Ranger. Only the Tyranno, Petra and Tricera Zords have been unleashed, Tommy explained. Oh, Kira nodded and Naruto shook his head. I'll be fine, don't worry about. Naruto assured her. Listen, Tommy stated, drawing the attention back to the Zord matter. Concentrate and your morphers will communicate your thoughts to the Zords. Let's go. Connor nodded and he, Ethan and Kira rushed off towards the Dino Zords. Naruto looked on as he saw them rush towards the Zords. You think they got what it takes, sensei? He asked. I'll be honest with you, no at first. But the minute Connor stopped us back at the lab after we told him to leave us to his find Kira, he still didn't give up. That's what we need in a Power Ranger. After your speech I saw their eyes filled with much determination. Just like ones my friends had when they became Rangers. The two looked on at the three. They're huge, Connor breathed as they skidded to a stop in front of the towering machines. That's an understatement, Kira told him. Calm down, boy, Ethan stepped forward, seeing as how the Tricera Zord was scraping its front foot against the ground, ready to charge. Hearing him it slowed down slightly, as in pondering. Speaking into his morpher, Ethan went on. That's right, I'm your friend. Sensing it was the right time, Ethan thrust his fist into the air as his morpher glowed blue. Tricera Zord. He called. Echoing his call with its roar, the Zord, which had been gray up until now, stood on its hind legs as it turned blue, green eyes flashing. It worked. Ethan grinned as the others nodded their congratulations. Okay, my turn, Kira stated, her morpher closed as she looked up at the dinosaur bird perched atop a high building. Terrazord. We can do this, if you let me. The Zord expanded its wings, crying out into the dark sky as its coloring became yellow and its red eyes flared with understanding. Awesome. Kira smiled as her and Ethan's Zord moved out towards the much taller and much bigger T-Rex machine. Wincing as their Zords were hit by the T-Rex's spinning tail. Connor, your Zord's out of control. Exclaimed Ethan. Do something. Kira said. "Come on, I need you to work with me here," Connor yelled. Hearing his voice, the Zord turned away from the other two and stomped towards him, but didn't look like it was for friendly purposes. Connor clutched his morpher. Tyranno-Zord. It stopped in its tracks as its head swayed slightly, before roaring as red covered its body, and its yellow eyes turned from viral to calming. "Yes." Connor smiled. Naruto and Tommy rejoined them. "Only one more thing to do," Tommy stated. "Bring them together." Naruto grinned under his helmet, the others nodded, figuring he knew this because Tommy had told him while they'd worked on befriending the Zords. "Okay," Connor stated, as he and the other two brought their wrists close. "Let's do it." All together they jumped high into the air and were drawn to their Zords, phasing into the beep pits designed on the inside. Combined power. They called together, and soon their Zords were assembled and ready, having made the Thundersaurus Megazord. As Tommy and the ever-morphed Naruto watched, the other Rangers battled Zeltrax's ship, eventually finding a weak point near the back of the ship that they hit with a drill arm, exploding the large stingray-shaped aircraft. As the Rangers cheered, Tommy and Naruto smiled, sparks almost like fireworks descended upon the city, but unbeknownst to them, Zeltrax returned to Mesogog's lair alongside Elsa, to be telepathically tortured for their failure. Tommy opened the briefcase from earlier, revealing where the morphers had been put back. As faint echoes of their representing dinosaurs sounded, the morphers transformed into silver wristbands, with the Dino Gems carefully fitted onto the top. "Keep these bracelets with you at all times," Tommy told them as one by one, Ethan, Connor and Kira picked up their respective bracelets, examining them carefully. "They'll access your morphers when you need them. And you can use these to communicate with me, or with each other." "Doctor, oh, I know you're real smart, being a science teacher, and all, but this is," Kira trailed off, frowning. "I mean, how did you?" "I'll fill you in," Tommy promised. "In time." "Speaking of time," Ethan began. "Think Mesogog's gonna stick around for a while?" "Unfortunately, they always do," Tommy replied. "They?" Connor inquired. "The bad guys," Naruto said in an obvious tone, seriously this guy was just like Kiba. "You know, the freaks that tried to kill us for the past couple of days." "I know this is hard to take in," Tommy told them. "That's for sure," Ethan nodded. "Our lives are changing in ways we probably couldn't have imagined," Naruto started. "But as long as we work together and work always as a team, no one can defeat us. No one." The three teens exchanged glances at the blonde's words, settling at just what their futures held for them. "Come on you three, I'll drop you home," offered Tommy. Both the guys followed, but before Kira followed she was stopped by Naruto. "You did great out there." Naruto complimented her, making her flush a little red, but smiled. "Thanks, you weren't so bad yourself," she complimented. "I was thinking, since tomorrow we have no school. Do you want to hang out?" he asked her. Kira felt her tongue tied. Why the hell is she like this? Yes, Naruto is nice, awesome, cool and handsome, but there should be no reason to act like a middle school girl. "Yeah, that would be nice." She smiled. Naruto smiled. "Good. Well, you should get going before Tommy leaves," he suggested, making her nod. "Right, then I guess I'll be seeing you tomorrow," she said. He grinned. "You can count on that." She smiled one last time and left. Naruto sat on a chair and was just thinking about his old home and his friends. He may have not found a way home yet, but this felt like home. He went upstairs into his room and went to sleep, preparing for a good tomorrow. Naruto was freshening up as he put on a plain green shirt. Over it was a black track jacket with green stripes designed down the arm, blue light jeans and white shoes. He checked his wrist, making sure to have the Dino Gem. He looked at the mirror and saw he was set. He went downstairs and saw Kim doing the dishes. "Hey, where are you going?" she asked, seeing him. "I'm gonna hang out with Kira since there's no school today," he said, sheepishly scratching the back of his head. Kimberly gave a teasing smirk. "Oh, okay, well, have fun on your date," she said. Naruto sputtered, having a small blush. "We're just hanging out as friends." Kim giggled. "Whatever you say, Romeo." She grinned. She heard Naruto muttered something about dumb teasing, making her giggle. "Have fun." She smiled and he waved as he left. She continued the dishes and felt a pair of arms around her waist. She turned her head behind, seeing her husband. "No one's here now. Looks like it's just us," Tommy softly said next to her ear and kissing her neck, making her smirk. "Bedroom?" she asked as she finished drying her hands off. Not wasting time, Tommy picked her bridal style and rushed to their room. Naruto was standing around downtown waiting for Kira as he texted her. He heard his name and saw Kira wearing a yellow short-sleeved shirt, light black jeans and mesh gloves that went up to her forearm with her yellow Dino Gem bracelet. "I was getting worried you weren't going to show." He smiled at her. "I know, I'm sorry, I had to take care of some stuff for my parents." She apologized, but Naruto waved it off. "It's alright, I understand," he said, making her smile. "So where do you want to go?" he asked. Before she answered, her communicator beeped halfway, confusing her, but answered. "Kira here?" asked Kira. "Kira, it's Ethan," said the person, revealing to be the Blue Ranger. "Yes, what is it? I'm busy at the moment," she said, a little irritated. "Whoa, am I interrupting something?" asked Ethan. "Actually, you kind of are," said Naruto. "Naruto? You two on a date or?" "It's not a date," shouted the two. Alright, whatever floats your boat. But it's a good thing you're there too. I got something super important to show you both," said Ethan. "This better be good," Kira said. "Trust me, you two will like it and you'll thank me later," said Ethan, cutting off. The two had got texts to meet at the street, and so the two went there, seeing a building. Haley's cyberspace. Kira frowned, looking up the sign above the building entrance. Naruto remembered this place. Tommy had brought him here a couple of times since Haley was the owner. To his right he noticed a tall brown-haired soccer jock approaching them. "Connor," Naruto called out. "Ethan called the both of you?" he asked as he walked up to them. "Yeah," she nodded. "He said it was super important." "What is this place anyway?" "No idea." "What about you, dude?" Connor asked Naruto. Naruto acted like he didn't know and shrugged. "Nope, but it looks interesting. Let's check it out," he said. They headed inside, looking around and taking in the sights. Couches in one area, computers lined up in another, tables and chairs in the middle part, a stage and a bar with all sorts of things behind it. They just walked into a regular cyber cafe. "Wow," Connor breathed, chuckling. "He lives here?" "I think he wishes he lived here," Kira laughed. "He probably dreams of living here," Naruto joked, making Connor and Kira chuckled. "There they are, my brothers and sister in crime." Ethan walked up with a grin before leaning closer. "Or at least, crime fighting. Welcome to my world, what do you think?" the blue-clad teen asked them. "Yeah, I guess kinda, it's cool," Connor nodded as the three followed Ethan. In a techno-retro dorky sort of way. "You could do anything here," Ethan stated happily. "Games, chat online, listen to music, eat or drink. Sounds like the perfect place to hang out," Naruto commented. "You have no idea." Ethan chuckled. "Who came up with the idea for this?" Kira asked. "That would be Haley," Ethan replied, pointing towards a dark redhead at the bar who looked to be in her late 20s as she spoke with a customer. She looked over, smiling. "She's a techno legend, MIT graduate. Programming genius." "Sounds like your greatest dream," Naruto laughed. "Yeah, well, she got tired of the big companies and decided to open up this place," Ethan finished. "Good thing for you," Kira commented. "No lie," the Blue Ranger nodded. "Anyway, so what's so important?" Connor inquired, stepping closer and draping his right arm around Ethan and left arm around Naruto and Kira's shoulders. "I just figured, hey, if we're gonna be saving the world together, I wanted you guys to see what I'm about," Ethan told them. "Heh, okay, whatever, dude," Connor chuckled, dropping his arm from them. "Hey guys," Haley smiled warmly as she walked up. "What can I get you?" "I'll just have apple juice." Kira shrugged. "Oh, that's easy," Haley smiled, leading her off towards the counter. The other three followed closely behind. "Kira, right?" "Yeah, how do you know?" Kira confused. "Oh, I'm all about information," the cyberspace owner explained. "It's my business now. You sing, don't you?" Haley inquired. "Yeah, I do." Kira nodded, exchanging glances as the three boys talked about other things. "Great, how about this Friday you and your band play here? We'll call it an audition," offered Haley. "Well, yeah, I mean, that would be great." Kira smiled happily. "Alright, see you then," Haley smiled before walking off behind the counter. "Okay, I love her." Kira grinned and Naruto chuckled, patting her back. "That's Haley," Ethan told her. "There's not one kid in here she hasn't helped out somehow." "Hasn't helped me," Connor muttered. Connor McKnight, the soccer player, the redhead grinned as she returned with Kira's apple juice. "I'm surprised you're not at the open tryouts for the Riverside Wave." "Open tryouts?" Connor's interest was caught. "Yeah, at their practice field," Haley told him. "Right now." "You're kidding, right?" he inquired. "Does she look like she's kidding, man?" Naruto chuckled as Haley kept a straight smile. "You were saying?" Ethan commented, and Connor looked at them before running off as fast as he could, without super speed. "Good luck, bro." Naruto called after him, but he was out the door. "I gotta go too, I gotta put a set list together and restring my guitar." She gave her drink to Naruto. "Sorry about." "Don't worry about it, there's next time, besides I'm looking forward to hear you sing," he commented. Kira gave a small smile as she left. "Nothing like spreading the love, eh buddy?" He grinned and elbowed Naruto lightly in the arm, making him chuckle, and both walking across towards the computers. Ethan's Dino Gem bracelet beeped halfway and they ducked out of sight, making sure no one noticed him. "Yeah doc, you got Ethan with Naruto." "Naruto's with you? Good. Can you both meet me out at the end of Riverside Road in an hour?" Tommy said. "Yeah sure, what's up sensei?" asked Naruto. "Just be there. And I'll fill you in," said Tommy and ended the call. The teens looked at each other and shrugged, and both left. Connor ran across the field in his red soccer uniform, heading the ball past from another player right past the goalie and into the net. As coaches watched and the actual ref side wave team warmed up, Connor proceeded in getting the ball from one side of the field to the other, keeping it away from at least 4 other guys along the way. He kicked the ball towards the goalie, who caught it, then threw it back with good force and height, but Connor was quicker. He jumped into the air, flipping and kicked the ball as he did, sending it blasting past the goalie into the net as he landed. "Who is that kid?" the coach asked an assistant, but the man had no idea. Instead, one of the players stood up from stretching to answer. "That's Connor McKnight," he replied. "He's still in high school, plays on the local club team." The coach nodded, opening his booklet and jotting down notes. "In the woods. After the island exploded, some of my experiments were scattered all throughout this area," Tommy told Ethan and Naruto as they trudged through the forest. Eventually, they came upon something that looked like a nest of twigs, and resting in the middle were 4 glowing eggs. "What are they?" Ethan inquired as he stared at the red, yellow, blue and green eggs. "Eggs," Tommy stated the obvious. "Oh, it's cool, Doctor. Oh, I just had lunch a couple of hours ago," Ethan grimaced. "Yeah, and I ate eggs already for breakfast," Naruto put in. Tommy chuckled. "We're not gonna eat them. We're gonna hatch them and you both are gonna ride them." Ethan stood up looking all around. "Maybe it's all this quiet out here that's got me hearing things, but I thought you just said we're gonna ride these." "Yeah, I'm with Ethan sensei. Are we really going to ride these?" "I did. Trust me guys, when these things are ready they're gonna be a big help to us." "Alright, whatever you say," Ethan chuckled, helping Tommy place the 4 eggs into a black backpack for safekeeping and transport. It was then that the 3 noticed a shape zoom by, and they stood up. "You saw that, right?" Ethan inquired. "Oh yeah, I did, and I thought this would be just a piece of cake," Naruto said. "We've got to protect the eggs at all costs," Tommy stated, slinging the backpack over his arm. "Protect them?" Ethan frowned. "Who would want to hurt them?" "I would," someone stated, and as they looked up, Elsa stepped out from behind a tree, leaning on it as Zeltrax joined her, and Pteranodon surrounded the area. "Oh, great, Mr. and Mrs. are here. Things just keep getting better and better," Naruto said sarcastically. "I'm starting to have my doubts about your intelligence, Dr. Oliver," Zeltrax chuckled as a Pteranodon snuck up behind the Rangers and teacher and tried to grab the bag, but Naruto kicked the arms off it and kicked it in the chest, sending it away. "Attack!" commanded Zeltrax. Naruto left-kicked one Pteranodon in the chest and turned, hitting another with a right kick in the stomach and elbowed one behind him. He teleported and appeared in front of 3 more and jumped in the air, kicking left and right and the one in front. He dodged attacks from one and grabbed the arm and threw it towards the other Pteranodons, knocking them down. He saw another Pteranodon trying to take the bag from his sensei, but he wouldn't allow that and teleported and had kicked the arms off the bag, then launching a fury of punches to the chest and a front kick to the chin as it somersaulted and fell. Naruto saw Ethan was getting overwhelmed and decided it's time to morph. "Enough of this." Naruto lifted his left hand up as his morpher appeared. He activated a Dino Thunder power-up. Naruto pressed a button and flipped as he now wore his Dino Green Ranger form and had his claws out. While Ethan was being overwhelmed with a wave of Pteranodons, Naruto jumped over them, landing beside him and slashed a circle of them. "Ethan, call the others, I got your back," Naruto told him and slashed 2 Pteranodons. "Ethan, communicate, call Kira and Connor." Connor rushed forward, kicking the ball towards the goal before his Dino Gem bracelet beeped. "Guys, we could use some Dino help out here." "Oh no," Connor groaned as Ethan's words came through and the ball was stolen by an opposing team member. "Not now." Looking around frantically, he sighed heavily and took off across the field. "Where you going?" the coach yelled after him. "I'm sorry. I'll be back as soon as I can," he replied, running off. Down the street, Kira heard Ethan's call and cursed at the horrible timing as she ran off in the direction her morpher indicated. She ran into Connor. "You get Ethan's call?" "Yeah, and I was right in the middle of tryouts," Connor muttered angrily. "I'm so screwed." "I'm sure they'll understand," Kira pointed out. "How?" "It's not like I can say, 'Oh sorry, I ditched, I had to go save my friend's butt from freaky lizard monsters.' I'd sound crazy," he reminded her. "Look, we got better things to do and that's help Ethan. We better morph before we get there," Kira stated as they ran in an alley. "Ready?" he asked her and she nodded. "Dino Thunder, power up." The 2 teens morphed into their ranger suits before taking off, letting their morphers guide them to their calling Blue Ranger. As Ethan, who was in ranger form, was kicked into a tree by 2 Pteranodons, Kira and Connor arrived to block and cover him as their sharp arms were brought down on him. Naruto jumped and slashed the 2 creatures in the back and kicking them with his feet talon claws and turned around together with the group. You guys couldn't have done this another day. Connor complained. Don't tell me, tell them. Ethan retorted, pointing as a swarm of pteranodrons rushed towards the 4 teens. Let's make it quick. Connor called, swinging his weapon around. Tyranno staff. Terra grips. Tricera shield. Let's show them again what we're made of. Declared Naruto as he got in battle stance and they charged. As Connor continued to complain about missing practice and doing something more important, the 4 Rangers battled on taking down pteranodrons left, right and center. Naruto slashed fast right and lefts and then a back roundhouse kick. 2 grabbed his arms from left and right, but he backflipped and landed on his feet. He then flipped the 2 pteranodrons on their backs and jumped, slashing both the down enemies as he came down. Eventually they dispatched a team of lizard creatures, rushing off the fine Dr. Oliver fighting both Zeltrax and Elsa. When Elsa was kicked away with a throbbing wrist, Zeltrax ran to her side and the Rangers stepped in. Aren't you always tired of losing? Smugly said Naruto. We're not though with you Power Rangers. Elsa threatened, getting up. Nor you, Dr. Oliver, Zeltrax added before he and Elsa teleported away. They're a pleasant couple. Sarcastically said Kira. Yeah, we have to get these back to my lab, Tommy stated, peering into the backpack in his hands. What are they? Kira asked. We're going to ride them, Ethan told her, who frowned behind her helmet. Look, I have to go back to tryouts, Connor stated, stepping away. Can you guys handle this? Yeah, go ahead, Connor, Tommy nodded. They can fill you in later. Thanks. Connor grinned before dashing off. Good luck. The 3 Rangers called after him. By the time Connor got back to the field, everybody was packing up and leaving. Taking a deep breath, he found the couch packing supplies and walked over. Hey, he greeted, only to receive a snub sigh. McKnight. The coach stated, getting up and pulling out his clipboard. Got you down as a DNF. Did not finish. Look, I'm sorry, I had something really important to take care of, Connor told him. Son, if there's anything more important to you than soccer, then this isn't the place for you. There is nothing more important, that is. Thanks for trying out, the coach smiled, patting him on the shoulder before walking off. Connor watched him go, sighing in defeat and running a hand through his hair. That's when he noticed a soccer ball roll over and hit his foot. Looking up he saw it belonged to a little girl, who excitedly asked him to kick it back as her mother watched from a few feet away. But stop, he smiled when she stopped his soft kick. Thanks. She grinned, grabbing her ball and running off to her mother. As Kira worked on the Friday set list at a table in cyberspace, Ethan played away on his computer. The Blue Ranger had said something about Dr. O and Naruto working on the weird eggs, but Kira wasn't listening. She was paying more attention to a guy that had just walked into the cafe. Whoa, she smiled. Who is that? I dunno, Ethan looked and then at Kira. Ethan waved a hand in front of her friend's face. You who? Karaya. He's really wow. She grinned, not at all realizing she was staring. Can I get you a glass of water, something, maybe an oxygen mask? Ethan teased. Shut up. Kira hissed, turning back to her list of songs. He's coming over here. Hey, I'm looking for Haley. I'm supposed to start work today, the guy stated. She's around here somewhere. Ethan replied. Hey, haven't I seen you at Riverside? Yeah, I just moved here last week. I'm Trent, he offered his hand, which Ethan shook. I'm Ethan, this is Kira. Ethan introduced them. Hey. Trent said, but got no response as she scribbled away. You okay? She doesn't speak. Ethan sighed. We've been trying for years. I'm fine, it's nice to meet you, Kira snapped, flashing a smile at Trent before aiming glares at her friend and fellow ranger. Trent. Good timing, come with me and I'll get you started, Haley smiled, walking up before walking away with him. Cool. Trent grinned before waving at the 3. I'll see you guys later. Isn't he just so wow? Ethan's teasing was cut short when Kira slammed her foot on his. The 2 had saw Connor who did not look happy. Hey, how did it go? Ethan inquired. How'd it go? Connor said angrily. It's over. The coach basically said forget it. And who can blame him? I mean, I left in the middle of practice. Well, it's not like you didn't have a good excuse, Kira pointed out. Right, Connor scoffed, getting up and walking off as the 2 hurried to follow. Well, maybe next time I'll bring a note from our teacher. Sorry, Connor couldn't make it to practice today. He was busy fighting freaky-looking dinosaur things in the 4. SHH. The 2 cut him off, placing their hand over his mouth as they ushered him towards the sofas on the other side of the cafe. Maybe he's never heard that excuse before. Ethan pointed out. Whatever, Connor groaned, look, the point is, what was I supposed to say? Man, this whole saving the world thing is seriously starting bum me out, he sighed, leaning back onto the shiny surface. Connor sat up. I gotta talk to Dr. Oliver. I think he may be kinda busy with Naruto, Kira stated, placing a hand on Connor's shoulder. They got this whole new proj. Well, too bad, Connor snapped. I was busy today, but that didn't stop him from messing up my life. Angrily, Connor got to his feet and walked off. Kira and Ethan said they would come along. As the doors to the ranger base opened, the three teens stood back as a box or two went flying across the room. Don't come in. Tommy called from somewhere. It's not safe. Hey, get that out your mouth, Naruto called out. The trio glanced at each other. We kinda noticed, Kira added as Naruto was thrown across the room and dinosaur roars broke the air. Whoa. Naruto yelled as he was flung towards the doorway. Is that what was in those eggs? Ethan inquired. Yeah, he nodded, pushing himself to his feet as he wiped slime from his hands. I'm helping Sensei trying to train them. How's it coming? The Blue Ranger inquired, eyes wide. Naruto ducked as a chair was hurled over his head. Slowly, very slowly. He answered. Look, I can see that the both of you are busy with whatever, Connor began. But, I need to talk to Dr. O. At the moment Tommy was sent flying forward, past the teens and into the tunnel by a red dinosaur tail. The teens moved out of the way of the closing door. I take it still little progress? Asked Naruto. Definitely. Tommy said and got up realizing his hand was covered in saliva. Ethan offered a hand and he accepted, letting the Blue Ranger pull him up. The latter regretted it as his hand was covered in saliva and sticky. Alright, so Tommy asked. You've got to find someone to replace me, Connor told him. What are you talking about? Kira said. You're crazy. Ethan added. Alright, settle down you two, Tommy stated. What's the problem? Naruto listened in. Connor sighed. Look, I'm a soccer player, that's all I ever wanted to do. You know, every moment of my life has led up to playing for a pro team and I get the greatest chance of my life and I blow it. Even though Naruto couldn't understand Connor, he saw where he was coming from. Being a Power Ranger is a stress. He recalled Tommy had told him of a story where he wanted to leave the Ranger life for good. I understand, and you're right. Tommy nodded. You're agreeing with him. Kira was beyond shocked at this point, and Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder to keep her anger from skyrocketing. Connor, I know how you feel, Tommy went on. 'Cause I felt that way before. But I want you to think about this before you do anything. Look, I got things I want to do, but I'm here, I'm dealing. Kira told him. Connor sighed. I guess I'm just different. He walked off. Well, I thought the red guy was supposed to be the leader, Ethan stated. Connor angrily kicked the red soccer ball, sending it flying through the air and into the net. He shook his head, recounting the earlier events on this field when someone called his name and he turned. He was surprised to see the ref side wave coach. Coach, what are you doing here? Got a call from one of your teachers and he tells me that it was his fault you had to leave today, the coach stated. Does that mean I have a shot? You've always had a shot. You sure you really want this? You'll need to give up everything. Yeah, I am, Connor nodded. Alright. I'll let you know. The coach grinned before walking off. Hey, bro, someone called and Connor turned to see Ethan, Naruto and Kira walking up. Things okay with the coach? Kira asked. Yeah, I think so, he nodded, before sighing. Listen, I'm sorry you guys. You gotta understand. Yeah, we do. Naruto said and Kira agreed. They probably do more than me, but if it's what you really want, Ethan shrugged. Suddenly their bracelets beeped and Tommy's voice came in over the link. Guys, we have a situation. There's a monster attacking the city, people are in danger. Okay, Connor nodded, sighing. But this is the last time. Looking around to make sure no one was there, he stepped forward. Ready? Ready? They nodded. Dino Thunder, power up. Ha. Whoa, that thing's nasty. Ethan yelled as they arrived on scene. Let's do it. Connor exclaimed and they rushed forward, forming a square to attack the creature. As they blocked an attack from its leafy forearms, the three were thrown back, leaving Naruto to do battle on his own. Alright, you gigantic weed, time to cut you down. He grinned, bringing out his claws slicing away. It managed to block his attacks with the thick green leaf-like appendages, growling as it wrapped vines around him and lifted him into the air, constricting him. Alright, freak, playtime is over. He sliced the vines. It growled again and threw him away. He cried out as his back hit the pavement. The monster stepped towards him was halted when the three ran towards it, Thundermax lasers firing wildly. Thanks guys. Naruto appreciated and was helped up. Give up. Connor yelled, pointing his laser at the creature. Catch me if you can. It taunted, flying off. He's getting away. Kira went to chase him, but Naruto stopped her. We won't catch him. Naruto said. You can. Tommy stated through his voice coming in over their morphers. Meet the raptor riders. As the four turned, they spotted three large raptor-like dinosaurs headed their way. Clearly more creations of Tommy's, they each bore a different color: red, blue, yellow and green. As they ran past the teens, they dipped their heads down and passed them between the rangers' legs, swiping them onto their backs. Ooh, now this is a ride. Cheered Naruto as his raptor gave a screech as if he was agreeing. Yeah baby. Cheered Ethan. They're great. Kira commented. Oh yeah. Cheered Connor. As people screamed and ran away from a series of pteranodrons, the little girl who'd been playing soccer at the field earlier was cornered by some picnic tables, cringing as lizards found her hiding place. Connor's eyes widened as he remembered the little girl. I'll help the girl, you two follow that freak. Connor told Kira and Naruto, who nodded and rode off after the monster. I got your back bro. Said Ethan, and both boys jumped off their raptors and kicked the pteranodrons away. Connor summoning his Tyranno staff in order to swipe the lizard drones out of the way as he ran to the little girl under the picnic table. You okay? He inquired and she smiled widely, nodding. Her mother found them seconds later, hugging her tightly and thanking the Red Ranger. She's safe now. Connor gave the mom a thumbs up and went to find Kira and Naruto. Naruto and Kira had jumped on top from building to building. Once they caught up, the monster was near the ledge. You got nowhere to run now. Naruto said. Think again. Retorted the monster and jumped off the tall building, landing on his feet. Whoa. Kira was surprised at this. What's the matter, you afraid of heights? Mocked the monster. You wish we were. Naruto called out as his and Kira's raptors were hopping down the building. Naruto raptor jumped off and he slashed the birdweed thing, and then Kira had a turn with her Ptera grip, slashing it. Connor and Ethan arrived and attacked with their special weapons, causing it to go flying and land hard on the pavement. The four rangers rode side by side, and the rangers all jumped onto Connor's raptor, putting their weapons together as Naruto and Kira squeezed side by side behind Connor and Ethan behind them. Z-Rex blaster. Connor yelled. Fire. The large beam shot out from their combined weapon and tore through the monster. They watched as it cried out before falling to pieces. They watched as the sky was changing as large black clouds rolled in and showered down the purple rain that made the monster the size of a megazord. Whoa. The four gasped. Connor called Tommy, drive. Oh, we may have a problem in our hands. Said Connor. A big problem. Naruto added in. Let me guess, a 3-story version of that guy you were fighting, Tommy said. You done this before, haven't you? Asked the Blue Ranger. Once or twice, I'm sending the Dino Zords. Said Tommy. The monster turned and saw the 3 Bio Zords. Bring it on. Connor with determination. Alright. Cheered Ethan. Yeah, woo-oh. Kira cheered. Go get him, guys. Naruto said to them. Ready? Connor asked the two, who nodded and jumped in their Zords as it combined into the Thundersaurus Megazord. The monster fired lasers from his shoulder at the Megazord, making it take damage. The 3 inside tried to stay still as it was taking damage inside. I got an idea. Said Kira, bringing up her morpher. A yellow boomerang appeared in the Megazord Triceratop arm. Terra rang. She called out as the Megazord threw the boomerang, going at incredible speed, and hit the monster twice, making it dizzy. The Megazord jumped, charging its drill, and charged through the creature. The Megazord posed as the enemy fell down and exploded. Now that's what's called monster busting, said Kira. The group had met up with Naruto. Red Ranger. The little girl from earlier was back and she ran over to hug Connor as he knelt down, returning the gesture. Thank you. Anytime, he smiled a bit. Anytime. Good luck, Kira. Trent smiled as he brought her lemonade to the stage, where she and the band were setting up. Cyberspace was bustling with a crowd, all chatting away. Thanks, she returned the smile, grabbing her drink. Naruto was watching the interaction as he saw Trent handing Kira a drink, who smiled. He saw the way Kira was smiling at him. Something inside was bothering him, something he hasn't felt since the academy days. Jealousy. But why? It's just Kira and some guy, maybe they were friends. So why did he feel like this? Hey, didn't expect to see you here. Ethan was surprised seeing Connor. Why not? We're partners in crime fighting, right? Are we? Yeah, he nodded. We are. So, what happened with the waves? Naruto joined in the conversation. I had to make a choice. That little girl made me realize there's nothing more important than what we're doing. The 3 sat at a table. Naruto smiled and was proud that Connor dropped his selfish desire to help keep the world safe. He truly was a leader. Hey Connor, sorry you didn't make the team. Haley apologized. Connor was surprised that she knew this. Yeah, it's fine. These are on the house. Haley setting 3 drinks and left. How does she do that? Connor chuckled. Haley knows everything, and I'm sorry too. Ethan apologized. Sight, yeah, but you know, I still would have chosen you guys. Said Connor. We know. Naruto smirked. Hi there, Kira smiled as she stepped up to the microphone. Thanks for being here today to cheer me on, since this is the first time I play in front of a crowd. This first song was just something that I wrote to help me get thoughts cleared lately, and I'd like to thank the friends that were along for the ride. So without other delays, I hope you like it. She started to play her guitar. And it goes like this, yeah 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 yeah. Naruto was nodding his head at the song with Ethan and Connor. I can't tell you why, but I can't stop thinking about you, baby, oh yeah. Don't you think it's time? I walked around every word you're saying, oh yeah. Trying hard to figure out, tell me what it's all about. 'Cause I don't want to freak you out. Freak you out, freak you out. Naruto saw Trent talking to the guys and heard something from him about she sings beautiful, again the jealous feeling came back. He decided to get some fresh air and told the guys he'd be right back. They nodded and continued listen to Kira sing, but Ethan realized something. Hey, wasn't Dr. O supposed to be here? He asked Connor. Naruto had went to step outside and saw his sensei and was going to greet him, but then a green portal opened and appeared were 3 pteranodrons. Tommy stopped and turned around seeing more with Zeltrax. Naruto cursed, oh crap, he teleported in a green flash and tried to save his sensei, but he was too late as Tommy was taken away. He fell down on the pavement and clenched his fist. Damn it, I'm too late. He cursed loudly. Hearing Zeltrax laugh. He snapped his herd towards him and glared. You are too late to save your master Green Ranger. Smugly said Zeltrax. Naruto in rage couldn't think straight and went for attacks that Zeltrax blocked them easily and then. Stab. Naruto eyes widened as he looked down seeing the sword in his gut and fell on his knee and dropped on his face. How the mighty have fallen, you will die soon Green Ranger and I'll be happy to take your gem. Zeltrax bent down and ripped the gem out the bracelet turning around disappearing in the portal. Seconds later a female scream was heard drawing the crowd's attention from the cafe. Connor and Ethan moved through the crowd to see what's going on and saw their teammate on the floor bleeding in a small puddle of blood. They were shocked and ran to him checking him and slowly turned him over. He was still alive but was breathing hard. Naruto, what happened? Connor took his jacket off and pressing it against the wound trying to stop the bleeding. Someone call 911. Ethan shouted for someone and Haley immediately called. Kira went through the crowd and what she saw made her drop her guitar as she saw the state Naruto was in. Tears welled up in her eyes and ran next to the guys. Oh my god Naruto. She cried. Zell. He tried to speak. Don't speak bud, save your strength. Ethan told him. The ambulance came and medics put Naruto on the stretcher. Kira told the guys she would stay with Naruto and got in the ambulance as it quickly rushed to the hospital. Ethan and Connor glanced at each other, hoping that Naruto would pull through. In the ambulance Kira was holding Naruto's hand. Please Naruto. She quietly pleaded. Mindscape. Naruto looked all around as the familiar sewer-like place and slowly turned to see the what he has been trying to contact for a couple years. The Kyuubi no Kitsune, Kurama. It's been a while Naruto. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video, bye bye.